Morning. Got some good shade right now for about 2 hours probably. Every day a new dog pisses on the tyre. Today's priority is checking out the Propshafts, universal joints, and what's going on with the rear axle and the half shafts. Right, this one's off the wheel and the handbrake's off and it's all chopped. No noise from the diff. You can only hear brake disc rubbing. Got a bit of a clonk when you take out the backlash. And that's nothing to worry about. There's a very slight play in the UJs. See the black line in there, open and close. They need a good greasing there. And other clunkings from the prop shaft. So we've got that much play. I think it's kind of normal. Yeah, you can feel the rattle. No play in the output housing. Glad I'm working on this side. There's actually not much space on the other side with vehicles. Right, brake pads are good. The wear on the brake disc is even, it's not undulating. That's the free play. I'd say that's within normal limits. Quite a lot of play. Yeah, that's a lot. I think that's actually in danger of stripping, if I'm honest. It looks like it goes up and over and down the other side. Probably have to pull this off to see what's going on. Look at these nuts, just click my fingers and they roll on. Take it from me. Working on a zero corrosion Defender is luxury. Just put the stethoscope on here and here. I can hear whirring, but I can't hear anything that sounds like grumbling or anything nasty. Front prop. That's the play. The front wheels are down, so a bit of movement in the front flange. There isn't. There is. There isn't. So that's probably UJ. Prop shaft doesn't seem to play, but there is play in the front output housing. So that bearing's on its way on the front there, hence why it's leaking. What I don't want to be happening, one of these to be shearing. Probably started getting some oil coming out. What I don't have is a hammer. I normally tap on here and you can chisel down, but I found a potential way because we're in a low corrosion environment. There we go. Look at the play in that. It's going to be impossible to fully clean this, but I mean, I've ascertained that it's going to be both. You wouldn't replace one without the other, but the axle shaft is very buggered. I know now, I'm just going to put it back together really. I don't want to go any further. Alright, well I had to take this off for to put a gasket on. I'm not going to use silicone. I think that's definitely more worn than the drive member, which is obviously the cheap way of fixing this that's potentially been done. The only real way is to replace the axle shafts. Great. I mean, it's the short axle shaft. Could I bring out a new axle shaft? Certainly could bring out a new drive member, but that's only half the story. Consequences, you know, if this thing shears through the splines, I will lose drive, potentially at high speed. If I can take the other axle shaft out, continue with diff lock, but it's better to try and forewarned is forearmed, right? One new gasket. Just to pay lip service to it, really. Bit I've learned from experience is always put the circ clip on before you push this in, because it's impossible to get the axle back out if you've pushed it all the way in. Unlike on the front, when you've got a threaded bit, you can put the drive member bolt in. You can't do that on the rear. There you go. Oh, splattered me. Gotta do these by feel. That's about right. That's about the length of my torque wrench. It's about there. Yeah, don't have a torque wrench. It's a luxury I couldn't bring with me. I basically brought some 1/2 inch long and a ratchet that's shorter, lighter. It's actually 3/8 with an adapter. So I've basically got something long and strong, and then something ratchety. Basically, I did prepare for a hub problem, so I brought Loctite. I've got a seal. Got drive member gaskets. I've got, if I was going to do brake pads, that would be for sucking the excess brake fluid out of the reservoir so that it didn't overflow. I've got a lock washer, I've got a new rubber cap, I've got a bearing drift, I've got something to cap off the wheel bearing, brake pipe. I've got two nuts, because I wouldn't be going back on with a stake nut, because you've got to torque it and you've got to use spacers. I wouldn't be bothering that. I'd have a lock washer and 2 nuts. I've got some used but decent, okay wheel bearings. Got this tool for getting the caliper bolts off. And a selection of bolts, but there's a couple of drive member bolts in there as well. And that is what I believe would make everything allow me to work on hubs. Well, it has so far, but it's basically a hub rebuild kit. I know I hate these, but the weight difference between this and a 52mm socket was huge, so what I did was drilled this out, and you can now get a spanner in this, so crank it around with a massive spanner, with the viscous spanner, like that. A bit more torque on there, because these things are a bugger. I was changing wheel bearings on a Defender in Zambia once. It had one of these, but nothing to fit through, just the normal hole. You put a screwdriver in there, but actually your fulcrum point's here. You've lost half the screwdriver just putting it through that, and you've got zero leverage on a nut that's done up over 200 Newton meters. You haven't got a hope in hell trying to get this off. They're just useless, I think, in normal scenarios, particularly with the single nut, stake nut. So what would have been a 5-second job to undo the nut took me an hour, and in the end I resorted to chiseling with a claw hammer and a screwdriver, which you can see why people end up chiseling, because if you don't have the right tool with you, it's a pain in the ass. So I've just modified that one. Instead of bringing the whole massive socket, I've modified that, so at least it gives me some leverage. Not battle tested, but hopefully I don't have to use it. Jacked up this side so I can test again. Same sort of thing, it is going over the peaks. Right, that's been a really useful investigation. So rear props got a bit of play in it. UJs are generally okay, there's a bit of play, but they're not dry. I don't see any red, powder or anything, or red grease coming out. So I think with a bit of greasing they should be okay. I can either buy a grease gun here or I can bring one from the UK potentially. The rear diff, I don't think there's any issues there. I've allayed my fears, or what I suspected. And the wheel bearing on the right hand rear seems fine. What I thought might have been a bit of noise didn't turn out to be anything. That one feels fine. Left hand rear, it does have slight play in it. Potentially looks a bit less greasy, but it's greasy, so I don't feel any roughness or anything or any noise coming from it. So I think that one's okay, even though there's a bit of play, and that's probably what will have an impact on the brakes. But those splines on the axle shafts are hanging on for dear life. That is probably, so far, I'm quietly confident. The only two things that I'm have concerns with are longevity of the clutch hydraulics. You know, the pedals are right at the bottom, I think partly because of the plating that's there prevents the clutch pedal going all the way to the bottom. It creates quite a binary clutch, which doesn't help with the drive member splines on the rear. I need to investigate whether to, you know, they're quite easy to change, investigate whether to bring some from the UK. I'm not going to find any here, or whether they could be sent here and that's an easier option. Yeah, so those are the two things that are concerning me a bit, that I need to think about. But I haven't driven this vehicle for any kind of journey. The inspection is tomorrow, the MOT is tomorrow, so after that I want to take it for a bit of a drive and then get some more clear answers. It's getting hot now and there's not much shade. I think the rest of today just got some niggly things to do. Just found out the radiator works. Bonus. Even though there's no aerial. Just been testing how I can get the viscous hub off, and I can. I have to take, well, I can't just by using the tension of the belt. I had to use the strap wrench, so I had to take the fan bit off, all fine and dandy. This definitely needs changing. Lots of cracks. Lots and lots of cracks. So that's good. I'll be doing that next time when I come. I'm going to rotate these. So, that fly me? Didn't look like a horsefly, but bloody hell. I splattered it. Been testing these on the rear prop, see if they need tightening. And they did a bit, this one. So I wonder if that's partly what the clanging is when you hear this rattling. It can be these coming loose. So I think I'm going to replace the nuts, because I did bring some. This is how loose they've been. I'm tightening up. That's how much they would tighten up to just kind of hand tight. Same on that one. Gauge illumination, clock, those two aren't out. Then we've got one of the speedo bobbers out. Look at me, Mr. Prepared. I brought one of these. Naturally I brought one that's knackered, but I also brought a load of bulbs. So that's what came out. It's got black on it. So that means it's buggered. So let's swap in one of these and see what happens. Yes, that's a good job. If you want to get these out without breaking them, stick something down the bottom there, push them out from underneath. It's the easiest way to get them out. You certainly let there be light. Excellent. I can live with that. Although I'll probably get a replacement bulb just in case. No, well actually I don't have one with me. I'll get one just in case that one decides to go.